Hello.
Hi.
So yeah, it is another Tech Radar live show.
Don't sound so disappointed in it.
Yeah, sorry, it's another one of these. So it is Gareth Beavis' first ever live show. So
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, so today we are going to be chatting about the HomePod.
Yes.
Which we have got one just here.
It's very heavy.
It's very heavy.
Someone described it as being made of dark matter, and I thought that's a very good example of it. It's very weighty.
Yeah.
Like how big it is. You feel like it should be lighter. If you've ever held like a an Echo or anything like that, it's,
Yeah.
This is easy. This is like made of matter that doesn't exist.
Yeah. But it's seriously weighty, isn't it? It's deceptively so. And this is the thing that I was quite surprised that it's smaller than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, because I mean, they make it, when Apple makes a big deal about something, especially, it feels like it's I don't know, it's got like an aura around it almost, and you think, is it massive? Then it's actually quite compact and tiny, and yeah. Although if you pick it up, it often starts playing music, which I found out at 11:30 at night. Housemate wasn't pleased.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we have got a few people just saying hello in the comments, so I'm going to say hello to them.
Hello.
So Anas Ibrahim, hello to you.
Hello.
Hello Rahul D.
Hello.
Cool. So we are going to be chatting about the HomePod, but also if you want to ask us any questions about the HomePod, pop those into our comments feed and we will get to them.
Yeah.
So you have heard the HomePod making sounds. You've had it in your home.
Yes, I've had it in my home where I live as a pod.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, anything Apple does has always got the greatest scrutiny. But the best way to title this is it's two devices in one.
Right.
Apple's made a speaker. Apple wants to get Siri as its sort of like HomeKit management system, into the home, and it's kind of smushed the two together, but develop the two things at once. Like, if you compare this to like the Amazon Echo, you feel like there's not that much difference. I mean, and you can get sort of 4 or 5 Echoes for the price of this. Yeah. And so you think about, well, if I was going to chuck this around, if I wanted my house to be enabled where I could just say anywhere in the house, like, hey, turn on my lights, whatever, you'd feel like Amazon's a better choice. So if you just listen to the Echo, like, this sounds perfectly fine, it's a good speaker, but then you turn on the HomePod and it's genuinely a lot better in terms of sound quality. Like the improvement is massive. Like the range, the vocals, bass is so much stronger. And you think, okay, actually this is a lot better. Yeah,
but its speaker array is completely different, isn't it?
Oh,
so
God, even that's why it's so heavy.
Yeah. And if you take it in comparison to, say, you've got the Google Home Max, which is the big one, which is the big one, which is Google's alternative to this, basically. It's like the one that does high-end sound quality. Yeah. That's still only got 4 speakers in it.
This one's got 7 tweeters and a subwoofer and dynamic motor as well for driving. But each of them themselves has got its own amplifier. So, and even the arrangement is sort of configured so that none of the sound is wasted. So it is a high-end speaker, and the sound quality does bear that out. And for that you do expect to pay a high price. Yeah. But if it's enough, that's the thing.
And so there has been quite a lot of criticism in sort of the reviews that have come out already that it doesn't have the same sort of. It's not quite as smart as the other smart speakers.
I don't think that's fair. I think that it's like something like the Alexa, for instance. There's got so many more skills. So you can do more than Alexa. It's just like you can connect to Spotify. That's a key thing. You can use it as a Bluetooth speaker. Yeah. So
that's a major thing that people are having a problem with, isn't it? It's the fact that it doesn't have Bluetooth.
Yeah, but
I mean, it does have Bluetooth, but it has Bluetooth so that it can control things. Yeah. You can't stream to it using Bluetooth.
But I mean, the other thing people say is that the fact that you have to have an iPhone or an iPad to make it work. It's kind of, but that's the other way around. It's sort of like you're only going to buy this if you've got an Apple iPod or an iPhone. Yeah. iPhone or iPad. Sorry. And with that, you've got AirPlay. So therefore, 98% of your stream is going to come from your phone that can connect to it like it's Bluetooth, but actually do it more robustly. Doesn't mean it's a good thing. I don't necessarily agree with it, but people say it doesn't do Bluetooth streaming. They just assume you can just do this music thing. Yeah. So that's a problem. But on the other hand, as well, to get the best out of the speaker and you have the phone nearby, etc., you need an Apple Music subscription. So essentially, you've got to pay a $10 rental to make this thing work properly the whole time. Which is tricky.
And it's already not cheap.
No, it's £319 I think in the UK, $349 in the US. Prices may vary in your region.
Which is it's significantly more expensive than the alternatives. Even the the high-end audio alternatives. Like, obviously, in terms of high-end audio, none of them are as high-end audio as this is, but even so, comparatively, it's very expensive.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if that's actually true. I think, you get to a point with sound quality where it gets very subjective, and there's no doubt the HomePod just sounds incredible in terms of what it does. But Sonos, Harman Kardon, they have speakers that to some people are going to sound as good, if not better, depending on what you like in it. Like, this is very bass, not bass heavy, but it's got very strong bass. You'll sometimes feel like it's almost struggling to contain it. It never clips or anything like that, but you always feel like it's just there's so much sound waiting to come out.
Oh, that's interesting. Because it's got a microphone in it that automatically adjusts its bass levels to your room, doesn't it?
Oh, it's sort of like beamforms itself, so it kind of looks at what it's an accelerometer inside that can tell when it's being moved, so then it re-beamforms to try and work out what the best place is for it. So it's very intelligent, and like I said, it's dynamic in the way that it tries to make sure it doesn't turn itself into like a bzz speaker, which is very impressive. And all the stuff I've run through it has sounded great. But like I said, Sonos, Harman Kardon, some of these are smart enabled as well, and they are significantly cheaper. So really, you've got to ask, how much more do I want to pay to be embedded in the Apple ecosystem, where it does really thrive? So if you've got smart lights, if you've got anything else with Apple, it's also simple. Like, just setting it up, like, you just put your iPhone next to it, and the whole thing is done. Like, Amazon Echo took me like 10 minutes to just sync it and turn Wi-Fi on, and it's just so very Apple.
That's the thing with Apple, isn't it? That it's just slick. When you get things working, they just work, don't they? We've got a question coming up here that is someone asking, is this Apple's version of Google Home? And effectively,
I mean, it's not effectively, yes.
Yeah.
It just is. Yeah.
It just is. It's the version that is the direct rival to the Home Max.
Yeah. And it's the only one they have, though. This is the thing. There is only this, so therefore it's the rival to the Echo Dot, to the Echo Plus, to the Show, to anything that's got a smart speaker. This is Apple's rival, and you kind of wonder. That's what I said about it being two things at once. Like, Apple, there is this massive race to get your, the smart system. Alexa, Google, Siri. They're all of the different sort of standards people want to work to. And Apple needs more people to basically buy into its system to keep that working. And you kind of wonder why there's no HomePod Mini. I mean, it's a very Apple thing to do, never to go cheap. But I thought the price and the fact that it does so much is almost prohibitive. Like, strip it down, make it sound pretty good, and make it £150. You've got a lot of people buying and sticking this Apple thing that's going to become the fulcrum of their smart home.
So we've got a question here where Anas Al Ibrahim has asked whether it's saying HomePod is not like Apple to release an unfinished product. So would you think that was an unfinished product?
Well, it depends what happens, really. I mean, it's finished in the sense that actually, that's not true. It is unfinished because you can't do stereo mode. So it is almost like there is more coming down the line. So in that respect, yes, it is unfinished. And that's one of the things I noticed. Like, if you had these sitting either side of a TV with an Apple TV, that would be really impressive. The sound quality just off one of them is really good. But Apple TV, you turn it on, you have to go and recalibrate it to fire to the HomePod every single time. You can't just leave it like this is a solid setup. And like, if you play Apple Music on the HomePod, it doesn't show the same thing on your TV. It's little things like that. So yeah, I suppose in that respect it does feel unfinished. But we are now in this world where beta is the start. Like, everyone like releases things like HTC with the U11 with the squeezable sides, Alexa integration. It just comes later. Almost
to a level VR headsets. Like, VR headsets came out and they look like a finished product, but it's still kind of beta. That it's still developing. It's still not.
And Apple is. You say it's not very Apple. It is very Apple now. You look at the iPhone 7 Plus with portrait mode coming later. Apple, the company that thrives on doing things as well as it can do, knows it has to get things out before not say before the finish, but before they're as ready as they'd like them to be.
We've got a few questions. People asking whether or not you can play Spotify on it.
Nope. Well, that's saying that you can if you AirPlay it off your phone. But in many people's parlance, the smart speaker needs to be able to just work with your voice. So if you say Apple, hey Siri, play blah blah on Spotify, it won't work. It doesn't know what it's doing.
So when you're AirPlaying, it's effectively just copying what the audio stream that's happening on your phone
it's Bluetooth playback, basically.
It's not actually Spotify on the HomePod.
No.
So it's quite interesting because obviously
only Apple stuff on the HomePod, literally only Apple stuff.
And with the Amazon range and the Google range, they both have competing music subscription services, but they still have the option to have Spotify as native. But Apple has very decidedly, it seems, chosen not to do that.
Well, you can. I mean, obviously, from a business point of view, it's clear what's happening with that. But also, Apple Music is actually the only real rival to Spotify at the moment in terms of subscribers around the world. Maybe that's not true. There are others out there, but in terms of sort of the growth and the speed at which it's going, those are the two that people talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Which makes it curious that there's no lossless high-end version of Apple Music, because this speaker is designed really for like quality audio.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like, well, surely Apple Music, the higher end version like Tidal would have made sense, but not there. So
not there. I just quickly have to say hello to the British Unknown. Hello, British Unknown is.
I've heard of your work.
You have heard of the British Unknown, the Apache helicopter that is the British Unknown. Cool. So we've got someone asking, how strong is the HomePod? They're worried that their cat's going to destroy it.
Great question, actually. This is as someone with cats and who has had surround sound speakers. I mean, because it's so small, it's going to be high up on the shelf. The chance of a cat getting to it are lower, but if a cat does get its claws into it, it's fairly robust. It's not a fine mesh.
Okay.
But you know, my worry for that would be less about it ruining the speaker, the cat putting the HomePod onto it and killing the cat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it's weighty, as we've previously
we watch
discussed.
cats get their claws stuck in things. Like, get this out, and then just
not great.
At least a broken leg.
So British Unknown has said this came too late. My house is already a Google Home, and this is kind of a thing with
exactly.
That obviously Amazon brought out the Echo speaker years ago now, and then Google came along, and it was kind of late to the game, but not so late that market adoption had already kind of happened.
Yeah.
So now there are these two big names in the field, and it does very much feel like the HomePod is coming along at a point where those that want smart speakers probably already have smart speakers.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a market for people that want to have Apple products. You know, the people that just like to set up their home and their lives around Apple because of that fact. It just works, that tagline. It does definitely do that. I do think we are still very much at the kind of the beginning of the curve of the smart speaker. But you talk about Alexa, and that's what people understand as this. You know, they don't know the word Echo half the time. They're like, I've got my Alexa speaker. Yeah. Because they understand that as the de facto smart home system. They don't really understand smart home, but they know this is the thing that makes it work. Yeah. So they're like, oh, so is this Alexa? Does this do Alexa? And it's like, no, it's like a different system. Like, well, what is the system? It's like when you explain the cloud for the first time. It's like, well, it's like kind of standard where all your files live. They're on someone else's computer, but not yours. And it's like this very difficult thing to explain because it's intangible.
I wonder if vacuum manufacturers that aren't Hoover feel that about when people just refer to the Hoover as a Hoover.
Yeah. I don't know, but I mean, then Dyson came along and that was fine. So
they're doing all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Someone has Jatin VK has asked, how does she... Interesting gendering of these things.
It does come default as a she, so...
But how does she deal with accents? Have you been putting on any funny accents to try it out?
I haven't been putting accents, but the one thing I've been very impressed with is the fact that Siri is it's almost flawless. Like I'm getting annoyed about having to preface everything with "Hey Siri," but I can be just lying in bed and just... You sort of forget the speaker is... You have to sort of command it. You sort of like just... I have started chatting to it, like, hey Siri, play some wake up music, which inexplicably is always country, which I don't enjoy as music, but it does wake me up. But yeah, you can just sort of be lying there, it's like, hey Siri, play some country music, and you're like, did it hear me? And then bloop, straight away, and it is fantastic. So while I haven't tried different accents, I have had different pitches and kind of levels of interest in what I'm saying, and it's got it every single time. So I think, from what I've heard, the accents is pretty good on it.
Okay. Cool. What about streaming from Apple TV as an audio source?
Yep, that's exactly what I said. Like, I did do that, but you have to keep resetting every time. So open it up, go into settings, audio source, bedroom, or whatever you put the HomePod, and do that over and over again. And it would be nice to have it dedicated as that, because I think, like I said, if your living room was your dedicated sort of luxury area, but your leisure area.
Your
luxury area where you fine dine and sit around in robes. But you had one either side of the TV, and you just turned on your Apple TV, and everything just synced together. Like I said, the audio specifically, the vocal quality on it is very good. And that's what made me think I want to try this on that, because it does the system very well, and it does work in the way, like, you're watching Netflix, you're like, hey Siri, pause, and it will pause the Netflix. It won't just like go, or you say, hey Siri, play, it won't start playing music, it will go, okay, I'm connected to this, I should be doing this one. But there is that lack of interconnectivity that I'm still missing. Like you say, hey Siri, and my iPhone lights up every time, like, me? Oh no, not me. And like, it
Which
knows.
one of me do you want?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it doesn't listen, it's only listened to the command once instead of the speaker. Every time it sort of hands it back off again, but it lights up like, Is it time? Is it my time? No, not anymore.
Yeah. Do you know if there are any plans in the pipeline for it to respond to anything other than Hey Siri?
No, I hope it does though.
Yeah, because
I mean, there may be, but in the same way that I really hope there's an app store coming for this.
Yeah.
Because it feels a lot like the first iPhone, where we had just the things that Apple did on the phone, and you add the apps into this, and it'd be really good. But you feel like Apple wants to do this in a way that's very, I don't know, just very methodical, and everything works perfectly, and all that kind of stuff, which is a danger because people are throwing out loads of different skills for Alexa, and Google Home can obviously do a crazy amount of stuff. So
yeah. And that's kind of a thing that's held Apple back a bit with the smart home integration, is that HomeKit is a massive platform, but there are loads and loads and loads of products that are going to be HomeKit enabled that currently aren't. And whenever I talk to those companies, they're always going, it's in the works. Apple's been telling us it's in the works for a really long time.
But you've got to think of it, the point is, and this is what, I don't know, not just Apple, but all the best companies in the world have always done. It's like, if we're at a nascent thing, we're trying to get people to adopt this stuff. If it doesn't work, we're going to lose a percentage of people every single time it doesn't work. They're going, no, this doesn't work. This is terrible. Yeah. In the same way that I still get people telling me that the lack of headphone jack really upsets them on a phone. Like, I need a phone that has a headphone jack, and that's diminishing. But you're starting to play in a difficult area. So the idea being that it has to work every single time almost flawlessly. Like if you've got a smart blind that costs you £400 to install, and you say open the curtains, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm in a dark room now, and you feel like a dick because you're like, I'm shouting at speaker to open my curtains, and I'm like, I used to be able to just do this.
Yeah, I can just use my hands.
Have light. Yeah, exactly. So, but when it does work, you're like, this is so cool. So you have to have it right.
Christian Alcantara has said, have you experienced any bugs or issues yet?
No, so there have been very few. The main, only once has it said whether the phone picked up rather than the speaker.
Yeah.
I have been listening to there's a few little things like you in the morning you say, well, hey Siri, what's the news? I don't really care, but I feel like I should do it every day to be a good smart home user. And every day it says, oh, this is the news from BBC. You can listen to Sky or LBC if you prefer, or say so. It tells me every day, and I'm like, okay.
Know my preference.
And then the next is like, okay, tell me the sport news, and it gave me the BBC Sport News. So I was like, brilliant. And then about 2 minutes in, I'm like, this is yesterday's news. So things like that, they are a little bit annoying. But and those are the kind of the small bugs. But generally, no, nothing particularly. There is a lag on AirPlay. Like if you say, "Hey Siri, pause," it'll be like, "Okay, now I'll pause."
Right.
Yeah. And the fact that and the other thing is that Siri's voice seems to be one solid level. So she's like, so if I say, "Hey Siri, good night," as in like turn off all my lights and everything, she's like, "Okay, cool," and it's like, okay, it's 11:30. Like, there's a reason I'm saying good night. It's nighty time.
Yeah.
And everyone else in my house is like, here's this woman just shouting in my room.
But these are all things that it took other manufacturers a long time to get to, and you kind of would have hoped that Apple would have learnt from their mistakes a little bit and developed those things before.
It's sort of thing I feel like I should be able to, like, there must be a setting somewhere. I've had a look through and I can't find it, but the fact it's very difficult to find doesn't speak volumes either. But these are
we've got a question. Is there a Sonos speaker at the same price point and which now has Alexa and Spotify, and how would the sound quality compare?
Well, we have the Sonos One doesn't have smart capabilities, does it?
Yeah,
it does. Told you.
It's good. Yeah, and they did a promotion, didn't they, where you could get two for the price of a single HomePod.
And in the comparison test that I've heard of those, I'm going to be doing some more testing tonight after that one. Is the Sonos is slightly narrower in its range. It is definitely more of an expansive feeling with the HomePod.
Yeah,
but for the price, I mean, like this is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
You're paying a certain amount for the sound quality, and then an X amount on top of that for the Apple integration.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of people don't buy this. Like, oh, I like my Apple stuff. I want the Apple speaker, and so it's just whether it's kind of worth that. And I'm a little bit undecided about if the Apple ecosystem in terms of smart capability does enough right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well because, from my point of view, the reason I think that there are so many of these small, cheap smart speakers that you can get, that like the Google Home Mini or the Echo Dot or Spot, is that if you're going to have true smart home integration throughout your entire house, you need to have it near to hand. Yeah. And so if you just have one very expensive speaker that's in the other side of your house,
luxury room,
in your luxury room, then you don't have your voice assistant.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're in that one room. You felt like you should have. Well, you do in the fact that you have your iPhone, which can do that. But I feel like you definitely want one in the kitchen, for different reasons. Bedroom obviously makes a lot of sense, and one if you've got a family room, that does that also makes sense. And then you're starting to look at like a grand for making sounds, and it's like, you know, it goes down to the point of like the Amazon Echo. 5 of these is your house covered.
Yeah.
Don't sound terrible, like especially the new versions. They sound just fine, like
And obviously we're starting to see integration with lots of products now that you will have Alexa or you'll have Google Assistant built into things, so built into smoke detectors or TVs or whatever, and so you'll have every room in your house has a voice assistant in it, but you don't have to have the speaker. But because this is sort of in its own ecosystem, we're not seeing the same thing that people are like, and it's got Siri in it.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like that's the. I mean, it's kind of the catch-22, isn't it? You want to have the ecosystem of enough people using this thing to start making it worthwhile having the accessories. Which is why I said it's curious that Apple hasn't gone for a cheaper version that makes it more accessible. Like I said, it's not a very Apple thing to do, but this is a new area that's been played in. So
we're kind of getting towards the end of the time. It's a slightly shorter one today.
Okay.
So if there are any final questions...
the fact you made a short one just for me.
No,
this is a boring one.
Very exciting one. And actually we've had loads of comments and loads of chat, which is really cool.
Okay.
So people are obviously excited about it.
Well, thank you.
And excited about your first appearance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why they've jumped on. They've heard.
Yeah.
Quick, let the elders.
Yeah. So British Unknown's just saying thinks that a HomePod Mini would be great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It would be. Like I said, it would solve that multi-room problem. If you could buy 3 for the price of this one, I think a lot more people would want to do that. But obviously then you said Apple needs a play. It doesn't want to make a direct rival. It needs something that says like, right, the sound quality of this is absolutely great. Don't think of the price, but the sound quality is great, and if you want it good, this is very good.
And it's possible that it's just this is sound quality amazing, and when HomeKit finally does open the doors and everyone that's going to be HomeKit enabled gets HomeKit enabled, it will be one of the most reliable and most extensive smart home platforms when that happens. And so it's possible that Apple is just biding its time and making those things happen before it can then go, okay, and now we can really invest in being a smart speaker.
I mean, there's loads of little bits around. You said talk about the bugs. Setting up the Amazon Echo, there was more in that first 10 minutes than the HomePod showed me in the whole few days that I've been using it. Just things like, okay, it's given my address for my parents' house because it was saved from something else. I'm like, why would I want that? You know where my phone is. You know where, so you know where I am. That's likely to be what I want to know about the weather outside. Like, not like, okay, well, I found out about your weather. Are you okay? Like, I've heard it's snowing. So there's stuff like that. So in terms of reliability and kind of dependability is the main one. You know, you want the worst thing with when Siri came along for the first time is you'd say, hey Siri, do this, it wouldn't do it, and you just look like a dick. Like, I could have just pressed it with my finger and I would look like less of a dick, but when it does work, it is really helpful. So
cool. Well, and that's kind of, we've got to the end. We had one more question, which is, can we connect different HomePods in a home to each other? And the answer is no, not yet, right?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, we covered that. So that's kind of it. We've got to the end. So thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.